My name is Robert Chen, and at 58, I wasn't walking my son down the aisle. The wedding invitation arrived on a Wednesday morning. Cream cardstock, elegant script. Marcus Chun and Sarah Williams request your presence. But my name wasn't under the parents' line. Just Margaret Chun, his mother, my ex-wife, like I'd never existed. The return address was familiar. The country club where I taught Marcus to play golf, where we'd spent Saturday mornings for 15 years. Now he was getting married there, and I was learning about it to the mail like a distant relative. No phone call, no explanation, just expensive paper telling me I wasn't wanted. I sat in my downtown office, 43rd floor, overlooking the city I'd helped build. Literally, Chun Development had put up half the skyline. The corner office I'd earned through 20-hour days and missed Little League games. But none of that mattered when your own son treats you like a stranger. If you've ever been replaced by someone who wasn't there when it counted, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I almost tossed the invitation. Almost. But something made me look closer. The venue, the date, the guest list glimpsed through the translucent inner envelope. 200 people. Business partners I'd introduced him to. Family friends who'd watched him grow up. College buddies I'd paid tuition for. Everyone except the man who'd made it all possible. The thing about being erased is it happens slowly, then all at once. After the divorce 3 years ago, Margaret made sure every holiday invitation came addressed only to her. Every grandparent visit was scheduled around my business trips. Every family photo was cropped just enough to cut me out. I tried. God, I tried. I sent birthday cards that went unacknowledged. I offered to pay for the wedding when they were stressed about costs. Margaret said, "We've got it handled, Robert. Don't worry yourself." Marcus had been my shadow once. 9 years old, wearing a tiny hard hat on construction sites, asking why we use steel beams instead of wood. 14, helping me review blueprints for the new hospital wing. 18, proud to tell his friends his dad built the city's tallest residential tower. But somewhere between the divorce papers and the custody battles, I became the obstacle, the workaholic, the man who chose money over family. Margaret remarried 6 months after our divorce was final. Dr. Paul Henley, pediatric surgeon, pillar of community. Suddenly Marcus had a stepdad who coached Little League, attended school plays, remembered birthdays. A man who was present. I was the ghost who paid child support and got awkward coffee meetings twice a month. The last real conversation Marcus and I had was 2 Christmases ago. He was angry about something, a misgraduation, a forgotten anniversary. I'd been in Shanghai, closing a deal that would secure his college fund, and then some. He said, "You never show up when it matters." I said, "I show up every day to make sure you have everything you need." He shook his head. "No, Dad, you show up to make money. There's a difference." I stopped trying so hard after that. The calls went to voicemail. The text stayed on read. I told myself he'd come around when he needed something. When he was older, he'd understand. But understanding is a luxury sons give to fathers who've earned it. The wedding invitation sat on my desk for 3 days before I opened my laptop. I wasn't looking to crash the party or cause drama. I was curious about something else entirely. The country club where they were getting married, I owned it, not directly, through a subsidiary of subsidiary, buried in corporate paperwork Marcus had never bothered to read. Grandview Country Club had been struggling 5 years ago, hemorrhaging members, facing bankruptcy. I'd quietly bought the debt, restructured the loans, modernized the facilities, kept it elegant, kept it exclusive, kept it alive. All so families like ours could make memories there. Marcus didn't know. Why would he? He'd stopped asking about my work years ago. I picked up the phone and called James Morrison, the club's general manager. He knew me as the anonymous investor who'd saved the place. "James, I need to understand something. The Chun-Williams wedding this Saturday. Who's handling the arrangements?" "Beautiful event, Mr. Chun. The mother of the groom has been very involved. Lovely woman, spared no expense. And the father? A pause. I wasn't aware there was a father involved in the planning, sir. That's when I knew exactly what needed to happen. I didn't want to ruin Marcus's wedding. I wanted him to understand what he'd thrown away. I called my lawyer that afternoon. Patricia, I need you to draft some documents. Transfer papers for Grandview Country Club. Full ownership, no conditions, clean transfer. To whom? Marcus Chen. My son. She was quiet for a moment. Robert, that property is worth $8 million. I know what it's worth. And you want to give it to him? I want to teach him what inheritance really means. The paperwork took 2 days. I had Patricia deliver it personally to Marcus's apartment Thursday evening, along with a letter I'd written by hand. Not typed. Handwritten, like the birthday cards he used to make me when he was small. The letter was simple. Marcus, by now you know you own Grandview Country Club. Consider it a wedding gift. The place where you're getting married, where you learn to golf, where you'll probably bring your children someday. It's yours. It always was. I've spent 20 years building something to leave behind. Buildings with my name on them. Properties that will outlast us both. But the only thing that really mattered was building a relationship with you. I failed at that. I can admit it now. I was so busy making sure you'd never want for anything that I forgot to be there when you needed everything. The club comes with full documentation of every investment I made to save it. Every late night, I spent reviewing budgets so kids like you could have weddings like this. I thought you might want to understand what your old man actually did with all those hours away from home. You don't have to sell it. You don't have to keep it. But you can't unknow that it was always meant for you. Congratulations on your marriage. I hope Sarah makes you happier than I made your mother. Love, Dad. Friday afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Dad. I hadn't heard him say that word in 2 years. Marcus. We need to talk. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Would you come to the rehearsal dinner? Tonight? I looked at my calendar. I had a conference call with investors in Hong Kong. A deal worth more than the country club. Of course. The rehearsal dinner was small, intimate, immediate family only. I walked into the private dining room, expecting cold shoulders and polite smiles. Instead, Margaret stood up when she saw me. Her eyes were red. Robert. She hugged me. Actually hugged me. Marcus told us about the club. About everything. Paul, her husband, shook my hand firmly. We owe you an apology. Several apologies. But Marcus was the one who mattered. He looked older somehow, like the last 24 hours had aged him. Dad, I had no idea. About the club, about any of it. You weren't supposed to know. But I should have known you. I should have known the man who'd do something like that. The evening wasn't perfect. We didn't erase 3 years of distance in one night. But when Marcus asked if I'd walk Sarah down the aisle with her father, when he said, I want both my dads up there, something shifted. The next morning, before the wedding, I found him on the club's terrace, staring out at the golf course. Nervous? I asked. Terrified. He smiled. Dad, why didn't you ever tell me? About the club, about all the things you did quietly. Because that's not what fathers do, son. We don't do it for credit. But I treated you like a son who was hurt and angry. That's what you were. I earned that anger, Marcus. Every bit of it. He was quiet for a long moment. I don't want a club. My heart sank a little. I want to run it. With you. Learn how you saved it. How you built everything else. I want to understand a man my wife is going to call father-in-law. The wedding was beautiful. I walked with Margaret and Paul, 3 parents who'd finally figured out what mattered. When the minister asked who gave Sarah and Marcus their blessing, we all spoke together. During his speech, Marcus looked right at me. I used to think my father chose work over family. But I understand now. he was choosing family over everything else. He just did it in a language I was too young to speak. 6 months later, Marcus and I meet every Saturday morning at the club. Not to play golf, though we do that too. To work. He's learning the business, and I'm learning to be present. Sarah jokes that she married one Chen, but got two. The irony isn't lost on me. I spent years building an empire to leave to my son, but the only thing he really wanted was time with the man who built it. Sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't what you leave behind. It's what you choose to share while you're still here. To everyone watching who struggle with family relationships, it's never too late to start building bridges instead of buildings. Trust me, I'm an expert on both.